Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's really difficult to have an afternoon session, especially when people are either hungry or either they have had a food. So it's challenging for us, all of us who are sitting here. But I'm going to try. I'm going to represent a country which is more than 100 billion, and it's really difficult to talk about their laws and their issues. And as Helen clearly says, we are talking about lives here. We are not only talking about the laws. And I am a grassroots worker, so I'm going to mostly talk from the perspective of community and how these laws are basically affecting to the communities. So I require your patience in this. Okay, great. When we talk about sexual, when we talk about India, when we talk about identities, when we talk about sexual behavior, it is very interesting because it's just not about sexual identities. It's just not about laws, or it's just not about sexual behavior, but it is a mix of everything. When you look at this chart, you will see a lot of identities which has been listed down. We talk about sexual behavior. When we talk about gay men, our sexual behavior is very, very clear. Sexuality is very clear. Gender is very clear. Preference is very clear. And so as you go ahead with different kind of subsections which you see when it comes to MSM and transgender sector in India. But as you come across transgenders, as you come across hijras, their sexuality is still we don't know. Still we don't talk about it because the entire laws are driven towards their gender identities. And when we talk about MSM community, we talk about their sexual behaviors only, and we do not talk about their identities. So it's a mix of everything, and how does the laws basically in India affect the sexuality and gender is something about my presentation. I'm just going to go ahead about it. These are some of the laws that really, really affect India big time. The first and foremost law you must have heard about is Section 377. It's a gift from the British invasions to India. Britishers basically implemented this law not only in India but around the countries like Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh. You will see a similar kind of laws which has been implemented over here with the same number 377. And that's what this law talks about. This law basically talks about unnatural sex. But it's interesting, it is just not talk about homosexual, it talks about heterosexual also. Being a heterosexual, even if you are indulging in oral sexual activity, if you are indulging in anal sexual activity, still you can be penalized against that law. Why are we talking about this law? We are talking about this law because from the ages for more than year after year, decades after decades, homosexual community, transgender community has been victim to this particular law. Delhi High Court 2 years before gave a very progressive judgment based on the Yogyakarta principle, which means that is if I'm a human, I need to be respected for my own rights, which says that, if you are two adults, consensual sexual activity among the four walls, whichever you have, is considered to be illegal. Unfortunately, you will never see all the religious leaders coming together, but just to penalize the community, just to encourage the homophobia and transphobia among the Indian society. These all religious leaders came together and they reappealed in the Supreme Court. And right now we have a law, Supreme Court reverted the judgment and said that is Parliament should take a decision about it, which is very funny. Parliament can't even decide our country. There you can see a lot of parliamentary members full of homophobia and transphobia. How do you ensure the community, the parliament members to talk about sexual minorities? So right now we have appeal about it. In Indian history, only 3 judgments have got the open hearing, 5-bench judges opening, and one of them is Section 377. The movement is on. I'm going to talk more about it. But these are some of the other laws that are affecting the third gender. One of them is Section 319 and 320. It specifically talks about anything that changes on your body. Now, when you talk about gender identity, either you are a trans man, either you are a trans woman, or either you are an intersex person, either you are a hijra. The basic thing that you are longing towards is having a different gender because you are not in your own skin. So many people ask me, why do you wear sari? I mean, you were born something and you could have been happy about it. You could have just crossed this in your home. I said, but that's not my skin. My skin is what I am wearing. And that's what I should be respected. And that's what I should be giving dignified all about. So these are the laws that basically prevent people from changing their gender. And that's the reason why all these transgender people are being operated in quacks. What happens is that all the hijras that get operated, they operated outside the states, they get operated into the 10 by 10 dingy room. Within the 2 hours of operation, while they are bleeding, they've been asked to travel. And a lot of them are die because of the urinary tract infections, and a lot of them die because of the excessive blood inflow. Trafficking Act is just not about transgenders, but it is also affecting the sex workers. Majority, it becomes more vulnerable for transgenders, because especially when you have women who are doing sex work and at the same time you have transgender doing the sex work, the clientele for transgenders is much more less compared to the female sex workers. So you are ready for all sorts of unsafe, kinky behavior. And that is something makes you vulnerable for HIV. The other thing about is that 268 IPC, Indian Penal Code Public Nuisance Act. And by this act, even if you are holding or kissing your wife in the public, you can be penalized and taken into the court. So you can imagine this law is used against cross-dressing. This law is used against effeminate gay men, right, left, and center in India. Well, this is interesting. I just want you to focus on this chart where we talk about laws, policy, health, social well-being. When we talk about laws, these are the laws that I spoke to you about, which are affecting to the entire HIV/AIDS scenario. The interesting part about is that Indian government has talked about National AIDS Control Program. Departments of AIDS Control Program, right now been changed. Is talking about HIV bill, which talks about protection to the key communities. However, when you have laws like Section 377, which criminalizes the same-sex behavior, how do you ensure the HIV bill to be implemented in India? We have a direct impact about health, which I talked to you about, and social well-being also. As a third gender, it's very, very difficult in India to be survive, especially when you have some such kind of punitive laws. There are so many times when we have struggle between HIV and rights. What is important? In India, National AIDS Control Program talks about increasing HIV/AIDS service uptake. But at the same time, same-sex behavior is criminalized on the ground. On the grassroots level, how am I supposed to distribute the condom? And when you go to the government and when you talk to them, they said, oh God, before the Section 377 also there used to be interventions, and now the intervention should continue about it. But for me, dead people don't need rights. My friend and my mentor, James Robertson, taught me this language. If you are alive, you need to speak up. This is some data I want to thank you. James, this is for you. This is something which I wanted to give you data about everybody about Section 377. As you see, across India, we work in 17 states. Across India, none of the sexual minority people are completely aware about Section 377. And what is the impact of that? If I'm not aware about the Section 377 completely, if I'm not aware about the laws and policies, police, gundas, goons, everybody can take an advantage of me big time into the scenario. 48% of respondents are still been saying that is they've been harassed right, left and center. There's a huge amount of correlation between violence and HIV, and that is subject to the punitive laws that we are having in India. When we talk about police and lawyers, community do not feel comfortable to go and approach them. Community do not feel comfortable because they feel that is the laws that are there in India, they are hampering their human rights. And as you can see, this is the evident paper cutting that you can see, that is because of the Section 377 immediate response on the in India after Supreme Court, there has been a rackets which are operating in India to harass, to violate, to create a violence, and to also to blackmail MSM people, gay people. In metro cities especially. This is something which you can say that is how the transphobia and homophobia is increasing. At the same time, you are seeing that still we do not have 50% of HIV testing not doing on the field, despite of services are available. And because these laws are affecting people to come to the field, laws are affecting people to underground their sexual behavior, these laws are affecting to live their life with a dignity. I think what we need at this point of time is that we need all the people who are here, policymakers, donors, my fellow colleagues, community people, we cannot have health isolation from the human rights. Human rights and health goes hand in hand. If you talk about the advocacy, it has to be imbibed within the HIV/AIDS program. It cannot be a standalone process. Right now, NACP4, National AIDS Control Program of India, unfortunately do not give enough importance to the advocacy. It wears blinkers and it only talks about provision of services. For me, health and human right goes hand in hand. It is very, very important that is, sexual minorities needs to have a visibilized, and you need to have a specific activities, and we need to have a safeguards for sexual minorities in India to address those punitive laws. And more and important for my community members who are sitting here and back there in my India, if you are still not dead, speak up, speak loud. You are not dead yet. Thank you. This is some of the activities that we do. I just wanted to glance through it. These are some of the activities that you do on the field. We do a lot of advocacy activities on the field. This is especially a media campaign that we do. It is called as 207 against 377. We also meet a lot of people who are key stakeholders. Unfortunately, Government of India has instructed us not to talk about Section 377. It is very funny that you are distributing condom, but at the same time, you are not talking about Section 377, which criminalizes same-sex behavior.